Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WrestleHorror. Greetings, viewers and listeners. Meathook Jim here, the WrestleHorror podcast. With me, as always, my co-host Donnie Hoover. Donnie, we're both back in the studio.
Oh yeah, back in the saddle again.
Yeah, we're trying to keep up with this craziness.
Absolutely.
But we've been talking a lot of paranormal lately.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be our investigation of the Carnage Haunted House or the upcoming, for the 900 millionth time, Conjuring House investigation. But we brought on a guest that wants to talk a little bit about paranormal investigation. This is Jeff Walker with Jeff Walker Paranormal. Jeff, welcome to WrestleHorror.
Glad to be on the show, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to have you here. Yeah, I kind of found Jeff just on a whim. Like I don't scrolling through Facebook and a post came up, and I saw his Facebook page on there. So I clicked on it and I was like, oh, he's a paranormal dude. I was like, he'd be good to have on the show. So just on a whim, I just did book now and got him scheduled. And then come to find out, he's also a haunted house actor, and he's also likes professional wrestling. So we found us a diamond, and does paranormal. So we found us a diamond in the rough for this show.
I live a very interesting life, to say the least.
So Donnie, I know you've got some questions for Jeff, so I'm going to let you take the lead on this, and I'll chime in when I need to.
Yeah, well, we're figure we'd get him on here and ask him about how far he gets into the paranormal, what all he does. Like I said, I'm the newbie of the group. The one we just did at Carnage Haunted House was my very first one. So, I'm interested in learning more. And so, yeah, I just wanted to reach out and get to know you a little bit, let the people out there get to know you and see what you do.
Awesome. Well, I definitely got plenty to share. So you just let me know where you want to start. And like I said, yeah, we can kind of dig down the pathways that I'm kind of taking my paranormal journey. So
yeah, we can start wherever you'd like. Start at the beginning if you want.
Yeah. What got you interested in the paranormal?
Well, so I've been a scare actor for like 7 years. So it's like I don't really get scared much. So I'm like, I really want to challenge myself. And aside from that, I've had a lot of experiences through life that I could not get answers to. I've always had questions. So I'm like, well, instead of me just trying to search for answers out there on the internet or things like that, let me go out there and try to, search for answers myself. So it was probably late 2018, early 2019. I was downtown here and I was going out for runs. So long story short, there's a hospital. It's being torn down right now. So we're kind of figuring out, I'm like, all right, where's all this residual energy going to go? Most likely it'll come here to the Bell Mansion. But I was going down here for a run and I was coming up to the stoplight and I slowly started to stop way before the stoplight. And I stopped and I kind of looked up to my left. I was like, I don't know what made me think to look up, but there was like this bluish greenish orb that would kind of like remind me of Tinkerbell. It had some spark behind it. It looked like a firework. It was the craziest thing. And so I was just like, okay, maybe I'm losing my mind here, or I'm seeing things, or another podcast are like, well, you just finished a run, so sometimes your mind could probably be playing tricks with you. I was just like, but I just saw it as clear as day. And I had recently lost a sister back in 2018. She passed away in May of 2018, and then when I experienced that orb was probably about August, September. And I posted the question on Facebook, see if anybody else has ever had any experiences like this. And then, of course, all these different answers came about. I'm like, all right, this is really confusing. So, and it wasn't until actually December last year that the Bell Mansion here in downtown Fort Wayne had opened up for paranormal investigating. So I attended a public event It was I believe it was an 8-hour overnight paranormal investigation for the public. It's like $50 a person. So I'm like, heck, why not? There's nothing else in Fort Wayne that is revolved around paranormal. So I checked that out. And then from then on, I became kind of like those residual spirits here at the Bell Mansion. Now I work here and help with tours. And then I had started up my own group. And then recently I just joined Old World Paranormal Society with Nick Carboni and Angie Sturm. And so from there, now I'm trying to get a TV show started, hopefully next fall. It's called Pathways to Paranormal. So basically what's going to happen with that is we've hosted a lot of different kinds of classes here at the Bell. So we do classes for children. So if children want to learn about the paranormal, who better to choose from, because children's they haven't had a lot of experiences in life yet, so they're open to a lot more. So that's kind of what we educate as well. And then we have a gentleman who owns a crystal business here in Fort Wayne, and he started doing crystal classes here, meditation groups, intuitive groups. So it really got me thinking, because I know all this was available. So I came up with Pathways to Paranormal. So eventually, hopefully I can turn it into a convention. So all these different pathways that can lead you into paranormal investigating. Like I said, for the meditation, kind of helps open up your senses a little bit more. And I'm pretty sure there's other roads that come to paranormal that I have not yet to discover yet either. But the TV show is it's going to be educational, but there's also going to be fun involved. You can't go strictly educational because that gets boring. So you have to have fun with it. And so we're going to, feature many different paranormal groups around the country. And the goal for that is not just to investigate, show people how we use the equipment, because some of these TV shows, you just don't know how the equipment works and how to debunk things like that. But it's really helping these paranormal teams grow their communities there. Because there's people there have a lot of interest, or they have some gifts that they don't know how to utilize. So if we can get these people connected with these teams, then start building their community, I think it really will make a huge change in the paranormal field.
Yeah, I've never really heard of, like I said, I'm still new to the paranormal game, but I haven't really heard of like paranormal conventions or training centers and stuff like that. Is there a lot of those around, or?
Yes and no. You have all these there's paranormal conventions, Halloween conventions, things like that.
Mhm.
Paranormal teams will show up, but it's the thing of it is you can show up to these conventions, but what are you going to get out of it? So that's my thought process is, like I said, all these people have different gifts. And I think the world would obviously be a better place if people realized what gifts that they had in the first place and how to utilize those. And if it leads to paranormal investigating, great. But if it doesn't, that's perfectly fine because they discovered something new.
Very cool.
Well, I can tell you that one of the biggest paranormal conventions that I know of is Scarefest in Lexington in October. And it's a paranormal and horror convention.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
And
I like that.
I met Josh Gates there quite a few years back. I've met both Jay and Grant from TAPS, from Ghost Hunters. I met Jonathan Breck, who played the Creeper in Jeepers Creepers.
Oh, wow.
I've met R.A. Mihailoff, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw 3. And the list goes on and on. I mean, and a lot of these people, I've met at this convention. American Horror Story, Naomi Grossman. She's a friend of mine.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we met her up when she was just getting broken into the AHS business, and we formed a friendship with her. She actually stood as my best woman when I married my wife.
Huh.
And just she's an amazing lady. If we hadn't left Orlando when we first met her at night early, we could have gotten a hot tub with her. Damn it.
Man, okay, you just knocked that off the bucket list.
When I got the text from her, we were like 100 miles away. I was like, shit.
It's like, yeah, we left one thing off the list, honey.
I looked at my wife and said, thanks a lot.
You ruined it.
You just saved our marriage.
Right.
It's like, it's not about the money either, just to let you know.
But I mean, if you've never been to that, Jeff, I don't know if you have or not. It's a great show. I mean, they do a really good job with it. With my other podcast, Big Scary Show, we went for like 7 or 8 years in a row, and then we just couldn't go every year anymore. But always accommodating and always a great show. It's the aisleways aren't narrow and cramped; they're wide and comfortable.
Mhm.
They've got a lot going on, and they've got their paranormal, they got their horror, they've got authors. I met several authors there too. If you ever get a chance, I would check it out.
Oh, I definitely want to. I don't think I'm going to be haunting forever. Like I said, I'm 38 years old. Not saying that's old, but you never know when my time's going to end that, and maybe this pathways to paranormal. I definitely see that as my future. I've had a lot of inspiration behind it too. Just the Bell Mansion opening up here in December. We've got to have Dustin Perry here from Ghost Hunters International.
Yep.
Brian Murray, Rochelle Strand from Ghost Hunters.
Mm-hmm.
We have Jason Hawes actually showing up here in November.
Nice.
And then Dustin will actually be back here in December for an event. And I think October for a week, Brian Cano and Chelsea Gill, a psychic medium. He's going to be bringing his history of paranormal exhibit here to the Bell.
Very nice.
So I honestly believe there's just so many things, especially for myself, that are just falling in the right place at the right time.
Right.
Getting all these connections, and it's never happened before until, I started helping out here, and then you start building your network. And I think it's really paid off, otherwise, if I have had these, connections or building this network, he might have not ran past my post about anything paranormal wise. So
Right.
there's a lot of people. It's all about family. And that's why I treat every single podcast. I'm like, hey, we're all part of the paranormal family here. No one's better than somebody else, but it's just very, very unique how everything's just kind of fallen in place.
Yeah, well, I'd like to ask about the Bell Mansion. You say you're working there now, and you said you're there now, and we see it in the background. And it looks like an amazing building. What's the story? Yep. What's the story behind the Bell Mansion?
Oh wow! So the mansion. So it was built back in 1893. So the building's about 130 years old. So it's had 4 owners, Robert and Clara Bell. So first owners, that's what we call it, the Bell Mansion. So Robert, he actually brought natural gas here to Fort Wayne. He's also a 2-time state senator. And then Clara, she was actually the co-founder of the Fort Wayne Museum of Art. Building's about 15,000 square feet. It's got 3 full floors. Every square inch on the first, second, and third is also the same amount on the basement. It was also a funeral home for 93 years. There's an estimated about 300,000 to 600,000 bodies that were embalmed here.
Wow.
So yeah, it's crazy. So for about 40 years, this was the only place in Fort Wayne that actually did embalming activities.
Wow.
And so I think what makes this place unique and very active, I think we have well over at least 40 active spirits here. The building is, the exterior of the building is actually made out of Indiana limestone.
Mm-hmm.
So I know in the paranormal community, that has drawn interest to reasons why could be a lot of activity in a certain building, because limestone does draw energy.
Okay.
Obviously, we're downtown here by the Three Rivers too. So that also can play a part. So yeah, it was a funeral home from 1927 to 2018. Sat empty for a couple of years. So Nick, who owns OWPS, his girlfriend Angie's parents are the one that purchased the building. And originally we're going to open up as an Airbnb. Well, plans kind of fell through. A lot of things had to change here, especially they're going to have to do a change of use for the building. And so there's just a lot going on at the time. So Angie, or I think Angie's parents, not sure how that went, reached out to Nick's team, say, hey, we want to see if this place is haunted. So Nick and his team came in here and got well over 300 pieces of evidence.
Wow.
And since then, we've had about 50 teams across the country booking here. We're almost sold out almost every single weekend. Wednesday nights, we do public paranormal investigations for $20 a person from 7 to 11. We give them a tour of the building. We kind of talk about the equipment, and then they can partner with one of us investigators, or if they feel comfortable enough, they can actually grab the equipment and go investigate themselves. So we've cool. a lot of events here. We're always coming up with new ideas. We're obviously still learning. I've only been investigating since December.
Mm-hmm.
So this place has been able to, kind of give me a home and, help share it with the public and then share my experiences and, my passions.
Cool. What's the most active thing you've discovered there yourself?
Well, it was probably about 4 weeks ago. I was up on the second floor, and it's really odd to have an embalming room on the second floor, because most of all funeral homes that you go to, everything's on the first. But there's a elevator. It's a freight elevator that was installed back when it first became a funeral home, and that's how they'd transfer the bodies and caskets to the different floors. But it was probably around 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're finishing up a public event, and we're up in one of the bedrooms on the second floor investigating Mr. Bell's room. And I heard some shuffling, like some footsteps going out there in the hallway. And I know we're the only ones left in the building. I knew the doors were locked potentially. So I was just going to go out there and check out the scene, make sure we had no, strangers walking around.
Right.
See a full body apparition. But what I ended up coming to find out, as soon as I walked through that door, there at the leads up to the third floor, some steps, and in that doorway that leads up to the steps, it was probably at least well over 6 feet. I saw a shadow figure, and it wasn't there for very long, because I was like, hey Nick, you gotta come check this out. And by the time he was going to get out there, it already kind of disappeared. So I'm not sure who it was or what it was intent was, but I wasn't freaked out. I was just like, that was really cool. The more you investigate, right. I was just like, man, yeah, I wish I had like a body camera on. I think we're going to talk about doing that, especially when we're doing publics. So if we're in a room with some new guests or whatever, and let's say we're done for the night, we go and review footage. I'm like, hey, tag them in a video. I'm like, hey, just let you know, when we're in that embalming room, this is what just passed by us, and we even realize it. So it's, yeah, that's probably been one of my most unique experiences here at the Bell.
I got to tell you about a funny experience I had, and it was at Moundsville Penitentiary, West Virginia.
Okay.
And it wasn't anything paranormal. That's just what makes it so funny. I had a team of 5 of us investigating, and we were down in what the heck is the name of that character that was down in the basement area? Anyway, we're down in that area, and I had borrowed a thermal imaging camera from a friend of mine. It was a monocular because he used it as a scope for his rifle, but it was beautiful, and it filmed video.
Oh wow.
So I'm just slowly scanning around the room, and my friend Mikey decides it's a good time to fart.
That's great.
You can see the whole thing come out on camera.
Oh no.
Because of the heat, it all registered on that.
It all reads right. I can even imagine like you're trying to do an EVP and it's like really silent and you've got that camera going off at the same time. Like that just ruins the session right there. It's just like, all right, we need to take a break. We'll be back.
It was so funny. I have to find the footage. I've got it on my computer someplace. But it was funny. I mean, this cloud, you know.
I always joke with Nick here because he likes to drink a lot of energy drinks.
Right.
And sometimes when we're like giving tours and stuff, he'll be in front of me. I'm usually right behind him. And sometimes it's like, man, I think you just released a spirit or a demon. Yeah, it's definitely it's not the greatest.
It was something else, man. But that was my funny story, and I've had others.
Never forget.
Have you ever investigated Bobby Mackey's down in Wilder, Kentucky?
So I want to. I know I was just on a podcast with hillbilly horror stories.
Okay.
And they do an event there every single year. And they were talking about Bobby Mackey's. I'm like, man, I've seen so many videos on it. And it's definitely a place I want to investigate. And hopefully I can have on my show next year.
I investigated that back in 2008, 2009, somewhere in there, with Shannon Sylvia and Jeff Sylvia from Ghost Hunters International.
That's awesome.
Quite a bunch of stuff went on there, but let me tell you, if you ever get a chance, do it.
I mean, it just kind of reminds me of the Conjuring House. You know, I was watching, Brian and Rochelle the Sleepless Unrest. It was on Discovery Plus. I probably watched it like over a dozen times because like every time I watch it, I learn something different or I see something different.
I bought the movie.
I should have. I'm just like, as many times as I've rented it, I could have just bought it, but I didn't think of it. So I'm just like, all right, well, I guess next time I do want to, I'm like, I'm just going to buy it. And the next time Brian's in town, I'm like, hey, man, we're showing the Sleepless Unrest here at the Bell Mansion. You want to join us?
I think I paid like $15 for it.
Mm. Is that the one that you told me to watch, Jim?
Yes.
And then that one episode you had me watch too.
Right, from Ghost Adventures, yes.
Yeah. All right.
I'm trying to prep Donnie and his wife for what we're getting into.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you've never investigated, like it's gonna be like a culture shock. You're just like from 0 to 100, like real quick.
Right. That's what I told him. I was like, if I'm gonna do it, we might as well go big.
Yeah.
After I do that one, everything else will be like, man, that sucked.
Like, well, we didn't get much. No, you're gonna get a lot. It's like I tell people about this place. It's a paranormal playhouse. It's exactly what it is. Since I've been here since December, there's not been one time that I've been here where I've not gotten activity.
That's
I've already heard, a couple of, I already heard a door closing, here earlier today. And I just kind of like shrug it off. I'm like, all right, at least they're closing doors, but
But they're there.
Yeah, they're just kind of hanging out. So
I was in Salem with my wife last April, last year, and we stayed at right in the center of town at the Hawthorne Hotel. We tried to book the haunted room, but it was already booked, room 612.
Okay.
But we booked room 610 right next door.
Oh, there you go.
And we got a few things, mostly some forms of knocking and such, but yeah, we picked up a few things when we were there.
Huh. Yeah, I've yet to get over there. Yeah, so my list is, I keep adding on to them, like, oh, what is this place? What is this place? Like, I was just watching an episode of Unexplained by gosh, what was his name? William Shatner.
Right.
I was like, I never knew he was in a paranormal. And it was like the Weeping Willow House somewhere here in Indiana. And I think since that episode, I don't believe they allow any more paranormal investigating, but I guess it was also called like a demon house.
Wow.
Which that's also another episode that a movie I've watched. I think it was on Prime Video.
Yep.
I've watched that well over a dozen times too.
Zach Bagans. Yep.
I'm very fascinated with that. Well, obviously the house is no longer around, but apparently still people go there and do rituals on the property and whatnot. It's like, guys, like, when is enough, you know?
Right. Just asking for trouble.
Right.
Seriously, it's just like, that's one thing you're not going to experience when I'm out investigating, is that's one thing you just don't do, is you don't provoke. Like, I just won't. Yeah. It's like the spirits here, like,
Yeah.
they're like our family to us. So we take care of them. They take care of us. And if you go in there with respect, you should be able to walk out with respect.
I am a big proponent of that. And I tell all my team members, you do not provoke.
Right.
If you provoke, you're gonna open yourself up to stuff you don't want to get into.
Not at all. It's just like, I see. So we do have like one haunted object here at the Bell. But he's fine. His name's Scott. We've connected. He's cool. But it's just like, you never know. Like, when one of our investigators bought this doll off of eBay, it said there's a 9-year-old girl attached to it.
Right.
Well, we come to find out there's a very pissed off 14-year-old boy that was actually attached to it.
Ouch.
Obviously he's calm now, but through a lot of EVPs and things like that, he's kind of opened up more and told us things that he likes, his favorite color, his favorite food. He likes the band Nine Inch Nails.
Nice.
We actually had when was it? It was a couple months, 2-3 months ago. We had Jonathan Davis here, the lead singer of Korn.
Okay.
He called us up the night before his event. Actually, his girlfriend called us up, said, "Hey, you guys are open, from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m." Like, well, it's typically for private overnights. Like, what are you guys looking to do? Like, well, long story short, my boyfriend is the lead singer of Korn, Jonathan Davis, and we're just looking for something to do tonight before his show tomorrow. So like, well, heck, we will show right on up. Well, let's get over there. And so he brought his girlfriend, his son, Pirate, and we have a common staple here at the Bell, and toe tags. So what they would use in the funeral home. So we actually have a wall down in our nerve center in the basement where people can fill out toe tags, and we just have them lined up against the walls. And so we've got Jonathan Davis and his girlfriend and his son's toe tags up there. And so it's
Nice.
pretty cool.
Nice, very nice. So let me ask you this: I'm kind of like the techie of the team. I'm all about the toys and things like that. What's your basic set of equipment?
So, and this is also how when I go and, teach people about the paranormal, I teach them the way how I start to investigate. So I say, hey, when I start to investigate, I'm not going to start out with EVPs right away. I'll probably use REM pods. REM pods are my first go-to because I want to see if there's any activity here, especially if you're paying for overnight. Like, for instance, if we were at Ohio State Reformatory, where during the week it costs $1,500, $3,000 on the weekends. You don't want to spend 2-3 hours in a room trying to get EVP if there's nothing there. So I start off with the REM pods, or we also use cat balls here. Cat balls are, I tell people, I'm like, well, if you're just learning to investigate and you're kind of tight on funds, you can get on Amazon and get a 4-pack for like $16.
Right.
So we get a lot of cat ball hits here. We have something that's called a boo light. It's kind of like a cat ball. It is motion detected. So any motion sensors, REM pods, things like that will get me started off. Then I also like the Ovilus 5. It's like all these expensive things, but I'm like, it does amazing things. So it's cool because obviously what you can get on the Ovilus, if you're doing an EVP, if you go back to that time, you can try to see if things are matching up. And that's huge for me because for the longest time, even though I was watching like TV shows like Haunting and Unsolved Mysteries, I was still a skeptic. And most people are until they actually experience something and they have no rhyme or reason to explain or understand, like, okay, why did that happen? I can't figure this out.
That's me.
Yeah. So I always show people, I'm like, hey, we're not like what you see on the TV shows, so I want to help people understand what this equipment does. And if we experience something, all right, let's use this device and see if we can debunk it. So I show people like step by step by step. So start up with the REM pods, and then we can I don't use spirit boxes too much. I do use I'm trying to remember the headphones that they're called. We have them down there in the basement as well. But what these headphones do, they're called Lucid headphones. And what's really cool about them is it picks up low frequencies. So if I were to put this headset on and somebody went right around this corner over here and whispered to me, I'll hear them clear as day. And then Estes method is probably not equipment wise. Obviously using a spirit box, but noise canceling headphones, somebody else asking questions. It was probably my last go-to.
Okay.
But we've used, we just got a trip laser in here. We started using the embalming room the other night. So that's worked out really well. So yeah, that's very, very small set of equipment, but EVPs is all that I do aside from using the other devices.
What about cameras?
I haven't have much experience yet with cameras. I know when I've investigated with Tyler and Nora from the Scare Factor, they have a really cool setup. You'll definitely have to check it out. So they'll have motion cameras set up in different rooms. They'll have a computer monitor kind of set up in the nerve center. And so when we're investigating other rooms, I know when we did it here, we're up on the 3rd floor, it went off. So like, all right, let's go up to the 3rd floor. And what was really cool is we also had an SLS camera. And what was neat is I was like, hey, if there's somebody up here, I've got a hoodie on, you can grab my sleeve if you like. And within a few minutes, you can see this apparition or spirit on the SLS camera slowly come down. And I felt it at the same time that I was grabbing my hoodie. I just felt this kind of like these fingers just kind of do this thing right here. And I was just like, Tyler's like, all right, that's cool. That's cool. Thank you for that. I'm just kind of like, that was really cool.
I have to remember that because Tyler told me he has somebody who built that.
Yes. Because I think if you get somebody else to do it, they're like easily like $500 or $600. But if you know somebody that has an Xbox and they're not using it anymore, just get their Kinect sensor. All you have to do is develop the program, get the tripod, whatever that sits on, and then I think it's a Windows tablet. I'm not sure how well they work on iPads, but I think it's a Windows tablet that you connect to it and just download the program.
I might have to look into that because I've got a spare Xbox sensor here.
There you go. We have a guy that's, custom making equipment for us. And so sometimes I'm just, the stuff he sends us, I'm like, all right, what if I can learn how to make this and kind of make things a little bit cheaper? Because I was just like, man, I get all these different fields. Like at one point I was a pastry chef and a chocolatier. That got expensive. Like, all right, well, let me just get into paranormal investigating, and that's going to be cheap, right? No, not even close. It's like Toys R Us when it comes to getting on like ghoststop.com.
Right.
And saying like, oh, this just came out. It's like, I just want it all, but I can't.
Ghost Stop can be dangerous.
Yeah, I know Jim and Chris has got a pretty penny tied up in their equipment.
Huh. I've got 5 cases of equipment, not including the tote full of accessories.
Oh, my Lanta.
We've got 5 GoPros. One of them is full spectrum. I've got 2 digital camcorders. Both of them are night vision. I've got 2 old Sony Tech 20 years ago night vision camcorders that still work. I've got an 8 camera DVR system. Excuse me. We got 3 K2 meters. I got like three or four audio recorders, including a Zoom H8.
Huh.
I've got 2 digital non-contact thermometers, plus I have a thermal imaging camera that doesn't video, but it does take snapshots.
Probably a good thing. Any more paranormal experiences come out of someone's body. So
Right. We got dowsing rods. Oh,
You guys got the cat balls too.
yeah, we got cat balls.
I thought that was kind of odd, actually, when they.
see if I got any.
Mm.
Yeah, this is actually, this is that blue light that I was telling you guys about.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we saw them in our gift shop for like $20. So I'm like, this is just like the cat balls, but except for to put this down on the table, kind of slowly get to it, it'll go off. Doesn't have an off and on switch. That's the only thing. So if it's maneuvering and in one of your cases or something like that, it's like I said, it's good to have a lot of equipment. And one thing I've come to realize is spirits love batteries. They like to draw them dead.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, we have a couple of rooms here at the Bell that mainly is the third floor servant's bedroom. We have I think there's about 8 to 10 spirits that hang out over there. And then the embalming room, we put 5 or 6 of these, these REM pods in the embalming room. And it's just like you turn the lights off and it's night out. It's like, it's really like a rave. It turns into a ghost rave in there.
Nice. Heck,
So
I want
that's
to come
really
check the
cool.
place out now. What to
Y'all
put it
have
on
to
the
come,
list, Jim?
man. I'm telling you. Like I said, we'll have Jason Hawes here in November, and Brian even told us, he's like, you know what? This is kind of like the Ritz-Carlton of paranormal locations, because you guys have heat, you have running water. You guys provide, like when we have our public events, we provide people with water, coffee, snacks. So we definitely take care of people, and you're not going to find any mold around here either. So it's really unique. The woodwork in here is very fascinating. You won't find anything else like it around. Because most buildings today are like, if they're older, like, oh, we're just going to tear it down and build something new.
Right.
So thankfully, Angie's parents bought it at the time and they didn't turn this into apartments or offices, or could have just completely tore it down. So
Yeah,
So-
very cool.
What does it run for an overnight investigation?
we typically do 800 on the weekends.
Okay.
So you have it from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Right.
And then typically during the week, it's around 300 to 400,
Okay.
depending on how many people you have. I do have a group coming here tonight at 9 o'clock, and there's only a couple of them, and they're going to come here from 9 to 3. So I'm like, we'll cut you a deal. We're not going to charge you $600 for 2 people.
Right.
Because we're really about exposure right now. So we're just getting people in the door. If we get people in the door, they'll go out and start talking about this place. And we have a lot of people that have consistently came back, at least once a month or each week that we do events. We just started doing ghost flashlight tours as a couple Fridays ago.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Nice.
kind of like our regular tours, but we also bring out some of the equipment. We kind of explain how the equipment works, and we kind of let them kind of take over in a couple of rooms and let them experience it for themselves. So it's been like I said, everything has just came into fruition, and it's been fantastic right so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I just Google mapped it. It's less than 3 hours away from Columbus, Jim. So probably closer
you
for
go.
you. Probably closer for you.
It'd be about the same for me, but yeah.
Yeah, that ain't bad at all.
No, not at all.
So-
Fort Wayne, yeah.
I tell people you get what you pay for and more. So the spirits here love to communicate. It's almost to the point like they know no strangers. We had a gentleman last night at our Wednesday. We were out there in the hallway. He was kind of backed up into this room by the doorway. And he said he had his backpack tugged a couple of times. And he's like, and he's one of the gentlemen that's coming back here tonight to do an overnight. I'm like, well, they're just like, hey, just letting you know, we're going to be here tomorrow night too. So
We'll see you then.
yeah, I was like, so are you sure you guys want to book for tomorrow night? Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Very nice. So I guess we're going to put that on our bucket list.
There you go. Add it to the list.
We'll gladly have you guys here with open arms and spirits.
There you go. That's if I survive the Conjuring house, that is. If I make it
I
out
think
of
you'll be
there,
fine.
Keith.
I think
So
you'll do just fine.
He said he was going to wear an adult diaper.
just in case.
Just bring a case. You just said case, so now it's telling you, it's like, all right, I need to bring a case. There could be other people that might need them too.
All right.
So yeah, you guys let me know how that goes, because I definitely want to gather a team in that area and go and investigate and do some video and things like that. So
Well,
hopefully.
we're going to try to keep people updated, depending on cell service out there, which I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
If there's decent cell service, we're going to do a couple of Facebook Lives.
Oh, sweet.
Mhm.
Right
I'll
there.
definitely tune in.
But I won't know until I get there what the cell signal is going to be.
Right.
Yeah, you're in the middle of the woods, and yeah, I've seen aerial video footage of it. I'm like, there's not much right around that little house.
I'll tell
All
you,
right, this is gonna be interesting.
Mhm.
another camera that was a good investment, in my opinion, is a trail camera.
Yes, I've heard those. I've heard a lot of good reviews of trail cams. I think we used one actually at Ohio State
Okay.
Reformatory. Yep, we used it right there in the what was it? I think one of the cell blocks.
Okay.
One of the cell blocks.
The one I got has side sensors too.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So as soon as something trips those sensors, it starts, the way I've got it set is it snaps 3 photographs and then starts shooting video.
That is really cool. Because it makes me wonder, like, how quickly, because obviously spirits, they can
Right.
move as slowly or quickly as they want.
Right.
How quickly are those cameras be able to flip the switch and pick up that evidence?
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's really smart. That's very smart.
And I actually have to go over the footage on it from our last investigation. It's one of 2 cameras I haven't gotten to yet. So
That was really sweet. Yeah, I'll be excited to see what you got from that. Have you
um,
guys ever been to Ohio State?
not yet.
Man,
He's talking about the penitentiary, Donnie.
Oh, okay. No, I was thinking Mansfield Prison. That was the wrong one.
That's the same one.
nope,
Oh, okay.
that's the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
one.
Well, I've been
where
there not
Shawshank
for
Redemption was filmed.
Yeah, I've been there not for investigations, but for conventions and stuff.
Definitely get a group together. Obviously, like I said, it's cheaper during the week. You're going to want to do a challenge. And it's called, I'm not sure if it's the East or West cell block, but I did on the East cell block. I did the East cell block challenge. And basically what the East cell block challenge is the only thing I had on me was a night vision body cam.
Mhm.
So you walk through there and it's completely pitch black. There's no lights on in the building. You walk around this East cell block by yourself, no flashlight. It probably took me about, I think, just a little bit over 3 minutes, like 3 minutes and 7 seconds. And I was speed walking. There's a couple of things I experienced walking around these cell blocks. I was like, I just felt something breathe on the back of my neck. I actually posted the video on my social media, on my Facebook. And I was with Tyler and Nora, from Scare Factor. So it's like, all right. And I think that's when we found out that we did it on the wrong side, because I think of the railing on the west side actually was higher. So you have the chance to fall over because how dark it was. It's like, well, we have to do it again. I'm like, wait, what? We're doing it again? Like, I just did it once. And for me being a scare actor, that was pretty intense.
Right.
Just thinking, like, for instance, cell block 13, Jonathan Lockhart,
Right.
he burned himself alive in there. And I guess for a lot of time that his flesh was like sticking to the walls or something. They would stick like 4 inmates to one cell block. And there's only 2 bunks. It's probably no larger than your walk-in closet.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just so much history there. And then just to know, like, Shawshank Redemption was filmed there. They do a huge fest. I think it's actually next weekend, Incarceration. So you're going to have the band Korn there, Disturbed, all these heavy metal bands. Originally, that's what I was going to go to until we had this opportunity to join Blood Moon Paranormal. They're like, hey, we have some spots open. Do you guys want to come investigate? It was a Thursday night. I'm like, well, you ain't going to ask me twice. I'm like, heck yeah, let's go. I'm game. 250,000 square foot building. And Greg there, that kind of helps run the place. He's a really cool guy, really down to earth, and he does a fantastic job there.
Yeah, and they also have Blood Prison there, which is a really cool haunt to walk through.
Yes. So their gift shop is really cool. So they have some of the haunted house shirts in there, as well as stuff from Shawshank Redemption, and then obviously Ohio State Reformatory itself. But just so much history there. Didn't get a lot of REM pod hits when we were there, but saw some orbs. I did see a couple of shadow figures. So I got enough. I'm like, all right, I will go back again and again and again.
Yeah, very cool.
So I'm going to assume you've been to Waverly Hills.
I have not.
What?
I know. Like, I've only been doing this about a year. I know of some friends I go almost every single year, and then I think they chose not to go this year. And I just noticed that Nick Groff is just canceled one of his shows there.
Yeah.
So I want to, but I was like, all right, how we're gonna, get this to happen. So there's just a lot of drama there right now. I still want to go investigate. Just, putting all drama aside. It's an experience for me. It's learning. So, so yeah, that's definitely on my list still.
I've been there 2 or 3 times for their 2-hour tour, which is very limited in what you can do is like take some pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But I've experienced stuff in those tours. But I want to do their overnight.
Yes.
I want to get all my gear out there and I want to do the overnight. Because I know that I'm going to get stuff there.
Right.
So that's also on my list of places to take the team is Waverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And get to spend more than 2 hours.
Yeah. Do like a 12-hour and it's like, hey guys, who wants to do an omelet bar in the morning or something? We had a private booking here a few weeks ago, and they had one of the ladies on the team. She actually owns a catering company, so she brought in all this stuff. They're having an omelet bar. I'm like, all right, so what time are you guys having that omelet bar? I'll be back. Check on you guys, but kind of take up a offer on the food if there's anything left over.
Right.
Sometimes the only thing they left us was some 2% milk. So that was all I got.
Or
Now I'll drink too much of that because I could be lactose intolerant, but I'm not 100%.
There you go. Well, you mentioned you work for a haunted house. What haunted attractions do you work for, and what's your background on that?
So Hysterium here in Fort Wayne is a haunted asylum. I'm actually getting ready to meet with some of those members here tonight. We're gonna kind of talk about stuff for the season and things like that. But I started there 7 years ago. My character is Dr. Heigl. He is kind of like the caretaker of the asylum. Very crazy guy, very angry. He works in an elevator, which I've actually renamed it as the Hellevator. So it's a really unique experience. I've never had done any sort of acting or anything haunted house wise before I got involved. I'm like, hey, I just saw something, come across this, like you said, like I just saw something come across social media. I'm like, I just want to reach out. So I'm like, hey, I want to do auditions. So I've been Dr. Heigl since the very beginning of when I started there. Obviously, so Tyler and Nora, they come in, they review us every single year. So they get to experience both sides of me. And so yeah, I work in the elevator, and it's a really unique experience because the first year I was in there, there's a strobe light in there now, but the only thing that was on in there the first year was a rope light. So you could see everything that goes on in this elevator. Well, the next year I'm like, I think I want to like heighten up the sense of fear a little bit in there. So I had them unplug the rope light, turn on the strobe light. And what this elevator does, as soon as you get in, both doors close.
right.
And it's actually on airbags. So it lifts up, starts shaking around. You hear this really creepy music. And I've came to the conclusion that I was just like, you know what? I'm going to play some mind tricks with people in here. So with saying that, people have been waiting outside. They have yet to have their vision, because they've been outside. So they're not used to being in the dark yet.
Right.
So they can't see anything, but I've already been in there for a while, so I can see everything that's going on in there. So every time the strobe goes off, I end up in another corner and they can't even see me. So it's just playing with the the strobe and making people think, I'm like, man, this guy is really fast. I'm like, no, I just know how to utilize the light, the light factor in the elevator. So it's so much fun. Probably one of the second or third most active rooms of the entire haunt. So I'm like, all right, it's June, July. I need to get myself in shape. Otherwise I'm gonna pass out in the elevator.
All right.
Like, well, there usually is an actor in here. I'm like, oh, he's on the ground.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it's a lot of physical work in haunted houses. People don't realize that.
It's so much, and we have an incredible team there. Really good makeup artists, really good trainers. And we have a lot of people that are committed. We keep trying to bump up in the ranks every single year. And I think this year we're getting a brand new facade put up. We've never actually had a facade for our building. So now we're trying to make it more authentic and look like an asylum. And we just got some new fencing put up. We just bought a searchlight this year. So we're definitely hoping for some really cool things to come for this season.
Good deal. Is that the only haunt you've worked with or worked for?
I've done some guest acting at a necropolis down in Indianapolis. But other than that, that's the only haunted house acting experience that I've got.
Nice.
Cue the crickets.
For the spirits. Like, hey guys, you guys want to come in here and chime in? You got anything to say?
All right. Knock his hat off or something.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. Someone got their book bag tagged down last night, so it's just like, all right, they're just kind of let you know here, but that was maybe a little bit much, but it's okay.
Right. Now, is there anything, this is something that just popped in my head that got me curious. Is there anything you've learned from, because you've been a haunt actor longer than you've been paranormal investigator? Is there anything you've learned with your haunt acting and being in the haunted attraction industry that you've taken over into paranormal and that's kind of helped you or anything?
Well, I know my first time working in a haunted house, like walking through by myself in the dark was like very nerve-wracking. I'm like, I don't like the dark to begin with. Obviously, that was then. Now it doesn't bother me that much. But then I'm like, all right, especially if you don't know some of the animatronics or if there's somebody still around, they're going to kind of jump out at you. So it's really kind of also solves some fears for me, except one thing, being in the dark. And then knowing, like, fearing the unexpected. So now I go through, during off season, there's a lot of haunted houses that do off season events. So
yeah,
that's where you can usually find me at if I'm not here.
Nice.
So yeah, so just the whole fear factor side of it.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, walking around and getting used to doing stuff in the dark, being in the creepy environment. I can see how that could carry over into paranormal.
Right.
It'd be less of a shock factor if you just walked in to investigate a house, not having any kind of experience and something happened.
Yeah, then like I get it on video and I'm like, I have that oh shit moment, and then you just see me like running out of the room. I'm like, well, he's going to do very well in this industry.
Yeah, right. Now, what about wrestling? We've talked briefly off air, and you said you are into wrestling, and this is the WrestleHorror podcast. And you said you grew up watching wrestling. Let's hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so a friend of mine got me kind of watching wrestling. I was like high school. I started watching SmackDown and ECW and some of the old school ones. And I've seen a couple of live events. I haven't been to like WrestleMania or anything like that.
Right.
But I've always had a fascination like on how they portray themselves in the ring and how they are in person. And one person that stood out was The Undertaker. He's created such a unique character. Like, it's just not him himself, but the things that he did to make him stand out. But what's also unique about that is I kind of utilized what I learned there to also help me in the haunted house industry.
Okay. Taking pieces out of his character and his mannerisms and all that kind of stuff.
Correct. Yep.
Nice. Very cool. So he was the only one you got into, or did you have other favorites? So yes, I'm assuming he was around like the Attitude Era. That was around the time since you mentioned ECW.
Like Halloween is my favorite. So I was like, he kind of represents that era of, he is all about Halloween. So I'm like, you know what? Undertaker's my guy. Right. Sucks to see him retire, but I don't 100% believe he's 100% retired, because I know the last event that he was at, He's like, never say never. I'm like, all right, that was a tidbit right there. Y'all heard that, right?
Oh yeah. I think there's always a chance.
We'll see.
Right.
On the flip side of the coin, I'm one of those people that wanted to see the match that never was.
Yeah.
Sting versus The Undertaker.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a
Yep.
big Sting fan, huh?
Well, you know I am. Mad respect for The Undertaker. But Sting's my guy. I mean, and everybody wanted to see that match, and it never happened.
Mm-hmm. Stars
Darn.
didn't align, huh?
Damn.
It's definitely been good for sure.
Oh, it would have sold some serious seats.
Yep, absolutely.
So we've talked wrestling, we've talked paranormal, we've briefly glanced over horror.
Mhm. Well, we've talked about haunted attractions. We haven't really touched on horror. What kind of horror genre do you like? What's your favorite horror film type stuff?
I'm like the more of the Conjuring. I've had a huge fascination with eerie events that kind of start off like, oh, they bought this house, and now there's all these things that they come to find out there's wrong with the house, and it leads up to all these different events.
Right.
So that's, yeah, I'll watch Conjuring movie like all day. Well, not all day, but every day. Just wouldn't do it all day. I think there's actually Conjuring 4 coming out.
Really?
Nice. Yeah, I saved a meme somebody posted on my phone here a couple of days ago. It was like the list of all the Conjuring movies in chronological order, like what one, which one to watch first and what year it supposedly was based off of. And so I was like, that's pretty sweet. I'm gonna start from the beginning and watch them in order. It says The Nun's the first one. And like it was in like 74 or something like that, I think was the year or something. So I'm gonna start with that one. But yeah, it was kind of cool how they had it in chronological order like that.
Yeah, it's really worked out. The third one was probably, I think there's just too much that what happened at the beginning. It didn't kind of like work into it. It was just kind of like, boom, everything's happening. But the first and second one I definitely liked.
Yep. Definitely.
Cool. So what do you think is your all-time favorite movie? What would you say your all-time favorite movie is?
I love Halloween. Halloween's probably my all-time favorite. And I'm not being biased because we have had the original Michael Myers, Tony Moran here. But it's just been so many episodes and like different people that have done it. And and every time somebody else becomes Michael Myers, it just makes that movie unique as well. So I do, because I kind of see it that I'm like, yeah, it can be kind of hard to like play someone else's character who's done it for so long, but at the same time, they also develop something unique to it, so they understand.
Right.
Like, yeah, I have to replace this guy's character, but what can I do to make myself unique as that character?
Very cool.
Well, Donnie, I think you might want to spring the question on him.
Yeah, I think we're ready for it. Getting that time, huh?
We are. I don't know if he is, but
all right. Yeah, we got a question we ask everybody on that comes on the show, and it's just for fun. There's no right or wrong answer, and it's something we ask. We just like to get inside the minds of our guests and see if they're as twisted as we are. So that question is: you are the main serial killer in your own horror film. What is your go-to kill?
Man, that's a very good question. I don't know. And this is probably going to throw off a lot of people. I'm like, just slowly slicing around the neck. I'm not sure. It's a neck. I don't know why it's a neck thing for me. I don't know. 100% don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's strange.
Just starting on one side and slowly going across.
Just slow, like a slow death. It's just like, I don't want this to go quick for you. We're going to take some time with this. I want you to know what you just did. So we're going to start inch by inch here. And you're never going to forget. You're never going to forget.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
this
Definitely
is
slow slice to the neck.
this is going to be episode 150 and something.
Mhm.
I lost track. I always have to look when I produce the show to see what number we're on. But you know, we've had people talk about slicing the neck. However, once again, never a duplicate answer because you want to do it slowly.
Mhm.
Right.
Huge difference.
Huge difference.
And do you
If you
look
just
them in
go
the
quick,
eye?
I mean, right.
Yeah. So is that how you would do it? Do you look them in the eye as you're slowly cutting them, or do you just stand
I
behind
just
them?
kind of like look a little bit over. I'm like, all right,
Kind of
we're
like
gonna take this
Dexter
little inch
style?
at a time here. You see all these movies, everything just happens so quick. You're like, there's the head. It's like,
Mhm.
no. Listen, Linda, listen. We're gonna do this very slowly because how as much pain as you've probably caused me or you've caused other people, I'm like, this is what's gonna happen.
Right.
Nice. Very cool.
I think they did electric chairs then. It'll be a slow pain. Slow
Right.
pain.
So, Jeff, tell us about how people can find out more about you and Jeff Walker Paranormal and the Bell Mansion. Give us all the good social media, whatnot.
Yeah, so for Bell Mansion, we're on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. It's the Bell Mansion LLC. Obviously, I have my own personal Instagram page is Jeff Walker / Paranormal Investigator. And then the series I'll be releasing, hopefully by next fall, will be Pathways to Paranormal. I'm all the social media links as well.
Okay. Very cool.
Mhm.
Well, it's definitely been a fascinating conversation. And we definitely want to bring you back after we get back from the Conjuring House,
For sure.
because I know you're going to want to hear all about that.
Oh, yeah, you know it. I'm already thinking, I'm like, all right, what questions are they gonna have? And all these, yeah. I'm already getting excited for you guys.
So it's only 2 months away for us. And
They'll
Mhm.
be here before you know it.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we've been, you know, it back in July of last year, it felt so far away.
Mhm.
And then now,
Right.
we're 2 months away. It's like, wow, where'd the time go?
Where'd the time go? Yeah, we'll be opening the doors at the haunt here in 80 days. So
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yep.
So for myself, Donnie Hoover, and our special guest, Jeff Walker, I am Meathook Jim. This is the WrestleHorror Podcast. See ya.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media outlets: Facebook.com/WrestleHorror, Instagram @WrestleHorror, Twitter @WrestleHorror, on YouTube at the WrestleHorror channel. And you can also find us on our website, www.wrestlehorror.com.